Captain's Log, Episode 74. This week's episode of the Beer Avengers podcast is sponsored by the Beer and Cheese Collective, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Enjoy their eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at the Beer and Cheese Collective. On this week's special post-St. Patrick's Day beer cast, Captain Huck and the Beer Wonders share 5 pours and talk about all things Ireland. Or at least all things we know. Or maybe all things we remember. It gets a little hazy near the end. We also recap Captain and the Beer Wonders' trip to Grim Artisanal Ales to experience the unique phenomenon known as brulee beer, talk a little about beer and cinema, and briefly touch on the seeming ubiquity of Boilermaker specials. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeeravengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 74, Erin Go Beer.
Oh, we're the beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers. We're the Beer Avengers.
Yeah, welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens. I am Captain Porter Brownstout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in Fresno, California, this is the Pale Male Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in that county of kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are the
Beer Avengers. That was pretty.
That was all
That
over
was.
the place.
That was it was a little very nice and zen. Very I don't know. Yeah, we haven't
Melodic.
seen anyone. Yes, melodic, and atonal at the same time. Occasionally, it's all over the map. We're finding all sorts of things about ourselves. Welcome to the show, Beer Avengers out there listening to us right now. We do this for you and for us. Really good to be back. You might have heard us a little more recently. We haven't been doing this in the same room together in about, well, not in the same room. We're in separate rooms in a virtual room together. First time in about a month. Isn't that right, guys?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's been a moment.
Yeah, it's
the people need their content, and we got to deliver it.
They are. Now that the weather is kind of inching into being spring. It says it's spring on the calendar, but not fully committed just yet. But we're getting there. So we're springing into our last podcast of March, and then we'll be going into April because that's the way the calendar works, and we can't do it backwards.
We could try. I mean, it would be, well, I guess, well, what would you do? You'd have to start recording like 12 months in advance.
Sure.
And say, like, you started recording in December, but called it January, and then released it in January.
We got to do one of those, like, maybe one of those like Richard Linklater things, like Boyhood, where we just record an episode a year and don't release any of it until like 10 years from now.
Right. And then you just release it monthly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Or backwards. You see, it's or yearly.
This is some memento nonsense going on here.
Well, what we could do is do thematic episodes. Like in January, we do a Christmas episode. And then in February, we do a Thanksgiving episode. And then in March, we do a Halloween episode. You see where I'm going?
Oh, I do.
Because each one, we're just sort of like, okay, we don't have a specific season for you right now, but let's do Christmas in here. Let's do Halloween here. Yeah.
And July will line up as July, I think.
Exactly. It would be, you could do 4th of July on the 4th of July. Look at that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, this is like too much for me without a beer in my hand. So I think we need to get to the pours, guys. Don't you think?
Honestly, that's accurate right there. That's the truth. All right. Well, you all were so kind, and last time let me go first, that I just think it's going to be polite that we spread this joy around. Anybody feeling the Beer Avenger gods calling to them?
Well, I feel that like since he has not broken any etiquette yet, and he's being very good. I think this time we should actually let Huck go first.
Well, I think it's a great
Lovely.
idea. It would only be polite.
Lovely.
I mean, that's positive reinforcement, right?
It is. He
Yes.
gets he gets a beer. He gets a beer. That's how this works.
Give me a little treat. Well, I do have a nice treat here. I got a new brewery, not new to the world, but to the podcast. This is Bike Dog Brewing Company.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wait, is its logo literally a dog that has like feet that are bike wheels?
Is he riding the bike?
Yeah, what is happening here?
Bike? Yeah, he's a bike dog. He's like a superhero, you know. It's like you don't ride the bike is the animal.
Oh, okay. So
I'll have to do some more research on that because I just bought this today.
Okay, good.
It's called When We Ride, baby. When We Ride. Yeah. And it's a lovely West Coast style IPA. And it is, I believe, made with I'll have to check the hops in a second, but it's nice piney. And like I said, West Sacramento, California Bike Dog. This is my first bike dog.
Oh,
never had one before. And I've got myself a old school Astoria beer and cheese glass. Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Oh, it's got that cool yellowy, crispy color.
Very
I can't tell if it's tawny or
not
is
especially not getting a whole lot of head right away, which is interesting, but we'll see how that goes. Sometimes with a higher ABV, it's not as much of a head. There you go. I believe it's about 8%. So
wow.
Enjoy. Gentlemen.
Let's see that can again.
Yeah, that green and it's like a green and yellow color, and the logo is so cool. I would actually get that logo on a shirt.
Yeah. I'll have to if I go up to Sacktown, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, the important. Excellent. Good research.
And
all right, well,
please,
well, Captain, I gotta be honest. I'm a little embarrassed. This one kind of feels like, it's like when you show up to the party and you're both wearing the same dress and it's like, who wore it better? Because we coordinated, but kind of today, and it's like it's a little awkward. So maybe why don't you reveal to the people what's going on, and then I can sort of fill in my section of this.
Full disclosure, we're recording this on March 21st, 2023, which is 4 days after St. Patrick's Day. They had a big festival at the Beer and Cheese Collective celebrating that, and wanted to sort of extend that celebration. So I went over to the other day, the provider, and gave me this wonderful beer from, I think it's pronounced Lochgill, although I wanted to say Lochgill when I saw it. But it's but it is from the Republic of Ireland, so not the occupied part. It is the name of the beer is Dark Magic, spelled MAJIK. I don't know if that is a Gaelic way of spelling it, but it is an imperial oatmeal coffee cream stout at 11%.
Oh,
so let's just
remind the people that it is indeed a
sponsored pour.
That's right. It's a sponsored pour from the Beer and Cheese Collective. I was telling the story about how the provider gave it to me. I lied over that, so thank you for keeping me honest.
We got to make sure, that the provider is getting her due, and that we're continuing our sponsorship package.
All right, so here we go.
Oh dear, dark. Oh, it almost looks a little reddish to my eye.
It does. We are here. I'm seeing some clear. Oh yeah, like the Irish red coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Nice big fluffy head.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Very pretty. And also they do have this trend on their cans to have this sort of wavy line can art on it looks like. And what's behind that circle on there? Is there an animal there for you?
I mean between the lock and the gill.
I was thinking more behind the wavy lines. There's some kind of like pattern. Yes.
Well, to me, it almost looks like it's like a ship's wheel.
Oh, okay.
Because like you see 3 on top and 3 on the bottom here.
Okay.
Isn't it? What do you think?
That tracks for me. I just couldn't tell because perhaps to the shock of nobody, I also have a
Sponsored core.
Yes, and it is also from our friends at Loch Gill Brewing Company or Loftgill Brewing Company.
That's
I'm
right.
sure we'll find out later how it's pronounced. Mine has a
Gonna be
similar
hook
can
up
art,
there.
but my 100%. And mine is called the McNutty Macadamia Nut Brown Ale. And behind the little waves, I have a squirrel. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see
there you
him.
go.
There's a squirrel. See his
Yeah.
tail down there?
Yeah,
He's
that is
squirrely
a
up there.
squirrel, and mine is mine is. I'm pretty sure it's a ship's
Ship that
ship
absolutely
wheel. Yeah.
tracks. Yeah.
But other than that, they unlike some of the American breweries where they have entirely different designs, they still with the same base pattern with some slight differences for the different beers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this one is a brown ale brewed with real macadamia nuts that they're roasted in their own kitchen, along with top quality malts to give a rich, nutty flavor and luxurious dark brown color. And I do want to mention that on the can, they do spell both flavor and color with the extra U, a la, as the
As they
Brits
should.
and Canadians and Irish are wont to do.
It's their favorite spelling.
It is. It is.
Which also
It's
has a U in it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. See, it all fits. Well, I'm going to crack this open because I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
To see how macadamia nuts show up in this beer. Oh, it's leaping out of the can.
A real craft brewery over there in Ireland. I'm looking at
Oh,
the
yeah.
beer
Mhm.
selection.
They are independently run. Oh dear, it's very alive. It's jumping right out of the can.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm getting.
effervescent.
Yep, it's
Yeah, the
right
provider
there.
was telling me they do can this beer in Ireland, so this is just like we have with our friends at when we experienced at Delirium Tremens. This is canned there and brought and imported here. Oh, there you go. It's quite an impressive head there.
Yes, there's a lot of head happening. We're gonna let that die down and put some more in, but I can actually smell the macadamia nuts already, so I'm excited about this one.
All right, there you go. All right,
Beautiful. Oh, such gorgeous cans. You're gonna have to check the Instagram to see these.
of course. All right,
right,
cheers,
so
Beer
drink.
Cheers.
Avengers. This is unique. This is it's definitely different than a lot of the American imperial stouts that I have. It's not doesn't bowl you over with a huge body, but there's still a whole lot of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did pour thinner than a beer that I have seen you drink before, and also at 11, what I would expect from an American brewery pouring something that's
Yeah.
11%. I expect it to be a little bit more like motor oil, and yours was this like reddish kind of
Yeah.
flowy liquid, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a coffee cream stout. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's and another thing of these cans are at a 14.9 ounce cans.
Yeah, they're a little
Okay.
shorter. They're a little short. I was putting them next to the tall boys in my fridge, and they were a little bit shorter, which is kind of cool. Actually, I have a tall boy right here just for comparison. You can see there's like a height difference,
little
slight
bit.
height difference
Yeah.
there, just the slightest bit, but it's noticeable.
It's like
It's
if
great
you
that
put
you can get these in New York.
Yeah, I agree. And interestingly enough, I have had this brewery at least 2 more times before. Once was at the Beer and Cheese Collective about 4 or 5 years ago when they were under a different name, and also I got one at the Blind Tiger. Really, it's called something about tracksuits or something, which I just think is it's called No Tracksuits.
That tracks.
12.
That
That one was
tracks.
a 12% imperial stout. So yeah.
Yeah, well,
What if you
I
just
guess
wear the track pants? Is that all right?
So like if you take off your shirt, like if you're doing one piece of a tracksuit, that's fine, but no full
probably
tracksuits.
okay.
It's just
Exactly.
overdoing it.
it's gauche, I think is what the kids are
Mhm.
saying.
Yes, the kids
well-
say gauche all the time.
Clearly, naturally.
I don't like to say gauche because gauche means left, and I try not to use it anymore since I learned that because I'm
Gauche
left-handed, so I'm
means
insulted by
left?
the word. Yes, in French.
Yes, and
Oh.
and
So
droite-
essentially meaning wrong.
right.
Oh, I see.
Because everybody's right-handed.
Correct. You southpaw, you.
Yeah.
Now I'm the one being rude.
How's
I thought you were
how's
fine.
the bike dog?
It's okay. It's got it's old school West Coast style, but it's not super flavorful in my
Mhm.
opinion. It's made with 3 different hops: Eldorado, Citra, I think, Eldorado, Simcoe, and Citra, which should pump it up. But it's I'm not getting a whole lot of hoppiness. It's very drinkable. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
easy. It's easy drinking for 7.1%. But it's, I mean, I'm not blown away. I don't want to
Okay.
insult the folks at Bike Dog. This is my first Bike Dog, so but you know how I am. I gotta be
we
honest.
do.
Yeah,
I'm a beer critic.
We are boosters, but not blind supporters of everything.
Right, we're not sycophants.
We are
We're not
Is that the
bullshitters.
right word?
So you probably said this and I didn't hear you, and I apologize. But is that did you say that is that like an IPA, a West Coast IPA?
A West Coast style, yeah.
Okay.
So it does have that West Coast vibe. But you know what? I'm looking at Untapped, and their beers get good ratings. So I'm almost feel like it may be something in the canning.
Yeah.
But it has, because you saw that the head wasn't too big, though. It has good, nice looking lacing on there.
Nice lacing there.
And the head
it's
is
beautiful.
still staying alive. Excuse me. But maybe it's just not their best one. I don't know. I'll have to try another Bike Dog.
Yeah, I'm finding with the Dark Magic, it's definitely, it's got a sweetness that's not overbearing. Very much taste the raisin for the oatmeal cookie kind of thing in there. In fact, Henry at Beer and Cheese was telling me that that he can't drink this beer because it tastes too much to him like rum raisin ice cream.
Oh,
And he just doesn't like rum raisin ice cream, and it has that flavor. But also acknowledging that he's very much in the minority because everyone was really enjoying this one. They were doing special pairings over the weekend with Irish cheeses and soda breads and these beers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, there, you guys had your pronunciation right, as far as I can tell.
we do. Good.
On lock.
Glad to hear it. Loch.
And
That-
it is
I take absolutely no credit for
word
that.
lock.
Yeah.
Means lake.
I take no credit for that. Beer Wonder looked that up before we started recording.
Oh, good job.
Show you a
Good
little
job.
bit
I tried
about
to-
the sausages
I
made
tried-
there.
I tried to unhook myself up in advance because you know I like to try to avoid that. And I gotta say this.
Oh, please.
I was gonna say it's really lovely. It's a very smooth, very easy drinkable brown ale. Really malt forward, so I'm getting lots of caramel, a lot of decent chocolate. Very nutty. I smell the macadamia a little more than I taste the macadamia, I think, but it is like overall very nut heavy. Like there's just a lot of nuttiness that's coming through. So I don't know quite where all that's coming from, whether it's the malt or the macadamia nuts, but it's really good. And I did just double check. This has won 2 awards from the Dublin Craft Beer Cup in 2017 and 2018. This was a silver medalist in 2017 and a bronze medalist in 2018. So that's kind of cool. Clearly a loved beer amongst our Irish craft beer drinking compatriots. So yeah, would drink many of, and at 5.5%, I feel like one could drink many of these.
That's great. I love to see Irish craft beer being promoted, because when you think Irish, I like a Guinness, but like,
oh yeah,
they kind of dominate the market over there. You have Murphy's Stout is another one. If you're in the South, you drink Murphy's. And in the North, you drink not the North, but the regular, not like Northern
the
Ireland,
regular North,
North Ireland,
North Republic of Ireland.
If you're in Dublin, you drink Guinness. If you're in County Cork, you drink Murphy's. That's my understanding. And over there, beer just tastes better. But
yeah, and I guess if you're in Sligo, I don't know how that's.
I think it's Sligo, but yeah,
Sligo? Okay,
Sligo, yeah.
That's. You drink this, apparently. I looked into the town of Sligo. Apparently, there had historically been 5 craft beer breweries in this tiny little town. All of them, of course, have gone away with age. And so as this one came back in 2016, they were one of the first craft breweries to come back in, or first breweries, craft, of course, to come back into that part of Ireland. So keeping the brewing tradition alive. Has anybody done the like go to Ireland, have a Guinness where it's made thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, 2008
okay.
for me.
Yeah, I think I was in 14 or 15.
Oh, wow.
I'd never been to Ireland, pretty Irish. And as Irish Americans go, saw some stat the other day that the Irish Americans outnumber actual Irish people by like 500% or something. It's like
Oh wow.
the the amount of Irish people of Irish descent around the world compared to what in Ireland is like just a massive number.
Yeah.
So that's me. I'm 7/8 Irish.
Not only did so many people come over there, but at the time they came over for quite a while, they were paid a little more attention to those no contraception rules. So that's another reason why there's so many of them here, I would think.
That is true.
I do
That
come
is
from
true.
I have 5 people in my family. My father's family is also 5. My mother, her family is 7 kids. So of course I have none. So I'm breaking the chain there
Everything is ruined.
and killing the name of. I bleeped my last name. Killing the name of Hopper Duck.
As our Irish representative, though, I would love to know your thoughts on this holiday, this very important beer drinking holiday that we just passed.
Yeah, well, I actually worked on the holiday on our beer job where I did 2 events and had 2 beers, and then I was gonna go out and I just didn't. It was a Friday night, and it's St. Patrick's Day, so that's like a double negative almost for old people, because like in New York we call it amateur hour, right?
Right.
People that only go out and get wasted on St. Patrick's Day or Santa Con or something like that.
And most of them don't even live within the city limits. They're coming from like Jersey and Long Island and etc.
Of course, I'm here in Fresno, so it probably would have been fun anyway to go out. I know the place I was going to go was pretty crowded, but I prefer going on a Wednesday. Well, a Thursday's kind of been my night out lately. Anyway, getting off topic. St. Patrick's Day. I've never been a big fan of the day I've gone to some parties. I've definitely partied on St. Patrick's Day, but generally it's not like an important thing to me. I know Nutpool is a big proponent of the holiday. I'm surprised. Did he have a party?
Not that I'm aware of. If he did, we weren't
not.
invited.
No, I think he may have celebrated more privately this year. He and I had discussed potentially doing something, but I don't think that came to fruition. So, say what you will about Nutpool.
I've actually been to his house for a couple of St. Patrick's Days in recent years, which was nice. But, I've always been kind of, I don't want to say anti-Irish, but kind of like give me a break Irish, like especially with Irish Americans, because I'm like, you're from Worcester. Okay, calm down. You're not Irish. My dad used to go on, but my dad, God love him, he's a great guy. He's got the same name. His name is as me, and well, it's not. I got the name from him. I guess he had it first, but anyway, he's 100% Irish. Okay, he could track all of his ancestry to the island, and he actually knows where he comes from. He's got the family tree. So he's really on top of that. And so he's always like, oh, Ireland. Oh, I'm Irish. It's like, no, you're not. But I mean, he could get Irish citizenship. You can do that now if you have, because his grandfather was born in Ireland. So that's like, because the Irish want more people. They're like, we got to get more people here. They don't have as many as they once did. So I could actually go for it myself. I suppose you have to live there for a little while, but I don't know. I would, because I did go when I told you I went in 2015, and I absolutely loved it there. And I got it. Like my whole life I didn't get it. Like, okay, Irish, yeah, we're Irish. Okay, great. But when I went there, I was like, oh, I get it. Like you see the weather, I'm like, this is why I look like this. And the feeling there is like the people are just so nice and just real friendly and fun. And I'm just like, this is a great place and beautiful. It's absolutely great. And it's green. You say like, oh, what? Where in the green? It's freaking green, man. This place is green. You ever heard of Connemara marble? Connemara marble.
I've heard of Connemara. I didn't know about the marble.
No, I didn't know about the marble.
There's this marble that comes from Connemara, and guess what it looks like?
It's green.
Is it green?
It's green. I mean, it's bright green. This marble. There's supposed to be a place, the City Hall of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, has their inside is their courtrooms or their council chambers. It's the most Connemara marble in one building in the world, and so I'd love to see that, because going there was like, you just like, this stuff comes from underground. It's not. It's bright green anyway. So I like Ireland, and going to the Guinness factory. You did this too, Captain, right?
Yes.
What a good time that is. Even if you're not a beer drinker, I just thought it was just so fun going through the
great
museum.
view of the city too, because it's like really high up.
You go through the museum and you go up to the top of it, and you get a proper pint poured for you, and you have this view of Dublin. And they teach you how to properly taste a Guinness, which I incorporate in my beer tastings,
as you should,
generally when we do the online thing. So anyway, God love them, love the Irish, love Ireland.
And then Martin McDonagh came along and ruined it all for you with Banshees of Inisherin.
Martin!
Oh my God! Oh goodness!
I know it probably hit a little too.
You know what you are? You're not nice.
Yeah,
I was quoting the movie. You used to be nice. You know what you are now? Not nice.
Yeah.
To watch it. I'll have to watch it again. It takes place on the Erin Islands, which is also another place to visit.
Yeah.
Incredible. And they speak Irish there. They presumably the people in that movie who are speaking English, the characters speak English. They would presumably be speaking Irish. And unquestionably, because that's on those islands, and this is the 1920s, right?
Yeah.
When the movie took place. So they would have been speaking Irish, I believe.
I bet Martin McDonagh himself doesn't speak Irish. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes we call it Gaelic here, but yes,
right.
Irish
we used to call it Gaelic when I was a kid, and it's like, well, it's actually just Irish,
right?
Because there's different kinds of Gaelic.
Well, that's what I noticed when I was there. Like there, they specifically just call it Irish, but most Americans usually refer to it as Gaelic.
And they have to teach it in schools now.
Oh, well.
As a student,
that's one way to keep it alive.
And it's on and now it's on road signs as well. So they're really trying to bring it back because it was stripped from them by the English.
What about Northern Ireland?
Never been.
Well, no, because this was the strange thing, because Aer Lingus flies to both of them, I think. And when I flew into Dublin, they did make all the announcements in both English and Irish, but I heard that they were not allowed to do that in Belfast.
I'm sure they don't do it there. I mean, I don't think they do. Boy, you got me going on a tangent there, Beer Wonder.
No, well, hey, it's a good tangent, especially as our resident Irish connected person, because I have none of that in my veins.
I was just going to hang back and let you guys do the show, and now I've done all the talking.
I always forget the percentages, but I have a significant chunk of they call it English or Irish. That's how they sort of lump it together on 23andMe. It's like one of my chunks is English Irish, and the other chunk is French German. But
it's always good to know what your chunks are, isn't it, Captain?
Yeah, but I know it's like it's a. But those are the two. Well, yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit of African in there too, but I think everyone does because colonialism.
Yeah, racism sucks, y'all. Let's not do more of that. So
hey, let's make that announcement here on officially.
Yes, exactly. The Beer Vengers have declared
racism.
We did it on the first episode, talking about our main tenets, most of which still apply. But also, racism bad.
Although I never wear a mask, so I don't.
Me neither. But
I'm still doing it. But I mostly I haven't
been asked in a while.
Yeah, I mostly do it on the subways, and if I'm like going into a crowded grocery store. But yeah, things are loosening up. Things are getting better, which is good.
Yes,
I don't judge you negatively for that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. See, well, but one place though the captain and I were not wearing a mask recently was a very sacred New York City event that celebrates the great brewers here in Gotham. Captain, do you want to tell the people about what we were up to?
Yeah, well, when we last talked to you, we were talking about how we were making plans to go to the big kickoff for the New York City, the New York City Beer Week run and sponsored by the New York City Brewers Guild. And they put together this whole event in Industry City, also combined with the other half's Pastry Town Festival. They were like mashed together.
It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were. It's one of those things where I always go in there thinking I want to taste everything, and then I realize by the end it's a fraction of what they have because I have to you have to just pick favorites more than anything else.
The
Oh, yeah.
Because
fact
other
that they
than that, it's
combined them is amazing.
yeah,
It
and
was truly insane.
and apparently one of the things that's big at Pastry Town is every year they have wrestling, so that was included in this
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Like you had all these booths with all the beer, and then in one corner there's an actual wrestling ring with a ref and body slams and all of that. It was, in fact, it's still. I believe we still have that on our Instagram feed if you want to see a brief glimpse of us talking about that.
Yeah, yes. I'll be honest, I was very confused by all of that. I think
Oh
if you
yes,
watch my face on the Instagram, I didn't understand what was happening.
you were
Yeah.
rendered pretty much speechless by the whole thing. I don't think you were even able to say introduce yourself because you were so thrown
No,
by the what was in the air.
yeah, it was just it was the thing where I was like, so how does this connect? But anyway, it's not for me to understand, it's just for me to accept. And it did create an air of like energy in that space as people were drinking beer and watching people get slammed onto a wrestling ring, which was
Yeah,
unexpected. I will say that much.
It's been a tradition since they started the other half, Green City and Pastry Town, that they've always had wrestling, and I the connection is odd, but it's they've been consistent with it.
yeah, it was fun. Had a good time. They had a lot of really good food there as well.
Was there an
We got some
option to
kind of.
get in and wrestle with the
I mean, if there
No.
was, I think, yeah, not that I was
sign
aware
up
of.
sheet?
Well, after you've had a few, I feel like that's where we cross that like line of questionability.
All right,
But hey, it was certainly fun to watch after we had had quite a few, and we did have quite a few. Captain, I'm
we
curious if
did.
there were any favorite breweries or beers or things that you just kind of wanted to highlight from
Oof.
our adventures.
I did ask you to
There were
take
so many.
notes.
We did take some notes,
We
and I
did.
had some
Okay.
at the time, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Apologies for that. I know the some of those Pastry Town ones were fantastic. From other half, and Jay Wakefield had some that was specifically from them
Hmm.
because they had their
Ooh.
own separate section of it. But it's honestly there was so many great things I can't even boil it down. But I know you you especially appreciated a new brewery that's there, the Harlem Brewing.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I got to hang out, and I have it as a prop because I will drink it at some point. Maybe we'll try and have them on because I know they were very interested. But there is the Harlem Brewing, which is located in Harlem, but actually brews out of Alementary Brewing Company in Hackensack, New Jersey. So, which is a
Yeah.
place that we have enjoyed beers from. They were sampling a couple of their beers, and I had. I feel like frequently when we go to these events, I have like a revelatory experience with an IPA where I find one that I just really, really love. Um, and I usually wind up chatting up the brewer in whatever state I'm in, and then they send me home with some, which was lovely. And the same thing managed to happen here. So I want to call it out also because I really did love it. It's the 125th Street IPA. It is a very piney, fairly bitter, really delicious kind of West Coasty IPA that I just thought was super fantastic. They say it's refreshing and juicy. I just get pine tree from it, but I love everything about it. This is like one of my ideal IPAs. And we met the brewer. We chatted with her for a little while. She gave both Captain and I some of their beers, and it was
That's
just
right.
really
Yeah,
cool to.
I'm gonna bring a wit beer home from them.
Yeah, but I just wanted to really call them out because what they're doing is so cool, and they're starting to get a little bit more like traction and distribution. So it was like one of those beers that kind of knocked me off my socks, and they've been around since 2000. So I'm
Hmm.
like,
Really? Okay.
I don't know why I've missed them in all of that time. I don't know, Huck, if you've experienced any of their stuff.
Yeah, I did. I used to have the Sugar Hill
Oh yeah.
beer, uh, which is Sugar Hill Ale.
Hmm.
Because I've been to a couple. I used to live up there, so
Hmm.
Sugar Hill Ale. It's a golden ale. I
Hmm.
had it a couple of times. Yeah, it's pretty good. I remember that Harlem Brewing. Yeah, and I think they might be associated with Harlem Hops a little bit in some way.
That would
At
make
least
sense.
they they know each other and are colleagues. But yeah, nice brewery. I'm glad to hear they're making a more of a splash.
Yeah, I was totally bowled over by it, and I'm excited to continue to support them.
It's
So
a black-owned brewery. Yes.
at Black-owned Brewery, which is great, and also just really doing cool stuff. So hopefully maybe we'll have them on. I know that when I spoke with the brewer, she seemed pretty excited about it. But of course, when everyone is in the heat of things, everyone's bubbly and excited. But just sending some major beer venture love out to you guys, and knowing that
Excellent.
that this is one of my like go-tos now. Whenever I can find it, I know I'll be
Oh,
snapping it up. So
and that
real
says
huge
something
fan.
coming from the
Yeah.
Beer Wonder.
Yeah, really great beer.
We also ran into some of our friends there.
Mhm.
Ran into Jared from Sweet Avenue. It was good seeing
Yep.
him again. He was on a while back, about a year ago.
Yep.
And also ran into Dan from Single Cut, who
Yep.
spoiler alert, you heard it here first. He will be appearing on a show very soon. We just have to get the details of that, but you'll be hearing all about Single Cut and him. And also, when we were at the Strong Rope place, we ran into
Oh yeah.
our friend Aisha, who
Mhm.
manages both of their tap rooms, who used to work at the Beer and Cheese Collective. So it's a
Yeah.
whole the whole beer community and a big part of our beer community all there together. Kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
It was quite the celebration, and we did try to take notes on it a little bit. And if you head over to the Instagrams, you can see some videos of us as we get progressively drunker,
Yes,
I did
talking
watch.
about
Yeah.
yeah, talking about some of the beers that we were enjoying there. But it's always a great way to kind of bring the beer community in Gotham together, and it was fun to see it kind of come back. I know that they had done these something that I participated in, but the way that they did Beer Week at the height of everything was you could buy these boxes that were individual cans that were shipped to your home, so you
Ah.
could test out all of these different beers. So it's nice to see as things subside, people coming back and enjoying beer together, and also I thought their tasting glasses were fairly large this year, and I always appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice to have one that you can really feel like you can reuse, because
Mhm.
I always keep them with me.
Yep.
And whenever I have my tasting, some people have like pint glasses, but a lot of people are using these taster glasses, which is perfect for it.
Well, yeah, Captain, when you're pouring like a dozen, 14% beers, some of us have got to take it slow. Some of us are not quite as skilled as you are.
No, I mean
Now,
I'm pouring small tastes into a bigger glass, so it's like
Yes, you
because
are.
you
You
have to
are.
have. It's also about sharing with everyone.
Mhm.
now, when you're going to this, now the main, you say it was combined with Pastry Town. Was it two separate areas, or were they sort of all meshed together?
They were two connecting areas. So it's
Okay.
like there's a big room, and then you'll walk down some steps, and then there's another room there, and there was a passage between the two,
So we're
and then
talking
out.
about with New York Brewers Guild. That area was at all of our New York
Mhm.
breweries. New York
Yeah,
City or the state we're talking
I
about.
think state.
Yeah,
If
Oh,
I'm
okay.
we
yeah,
were stretching the definitions of Gotham a little bit, but in the best way. So,
yeah,
And then
because
in
they're
Pastry
trying to
Town, they're from all over.
right. And so yeah, so that's why the second but it was all part of the same ticket though. There was no extra charge for it or anything else. It was all part of the same event, which was nice.
So for the folks at home, when we talk about Pastry Town, they're talking about and essentially mainly imperial pastry stouts,
oh
as
yes,
well as pastry sours and just really heavy fruited and chocolatey high
Goodness,
alcohol
yeah.
beers.
and they were not playing around. I mean, by the time we got to Pastry Town, which I'd say was probably an hour into the event,
Oh
um,
man,
there were already 4 places that had run out of stuff.
they're done. Yeah.
They were just completely out, and people started pouring like from magnums and just
I was going to ask you
crazy,
about that.
some crazy stuff all throughout the event. I mean, it was just sort of like you would see this massive bottle come out, and then all of a sudden this line would form, and it was
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
pretty
you got to
exciting.
get
Yeah.
in on the magnums.
Mhm.
We were lucky enough to get in on the magnum at um, Rocktoberfest,
Oh,
Blocktoberfest
nice.
a couple of years ago at the
Yes.
other half booth. They brought a couple magnums. So was there a lot of that, or was it mainly other half that was pulling
Well,
out
the
the
main one
magnums?
I remember is that we went to one for Wild East, and they had their
Yeah.
schedule. They said we're there at
Oh,
like 4 o'clock.
Yep.
We're gonna have things here. Yeah, that's.
It was all
I don't
listed. Yeah.
remember what it was. Yeah.
and did you see friends or people you knew from Wild East over there? Because
Yeah,
we
I
have
believe
a
I
lot of
believe so. I saw.
connections there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think was it
caught.
Holly might have been there.
Mhm. I think we saw Holly there.
Holly,
And
yeah.
yes, yep. I think that was the person we said hi to. And there was another brewery, and you're going to have to remind me of this one, Captain, because I enjoyed their beer, but was in an altered state by the time I got there. It is a brewery that is run by an Iranian woman.
Oh
Um,
yeah, back home,
Oh yeah,
back home beers.
Back Home Brewery. They were
talked about
doing
that with the provider.
Yeah, the provider
Yes,
had beer there, and there was a wonderful salted beer that they had that was a part of their repertoire that I just thought was a really lovely, very refreshing beverage. Again, I had it much later in the experience, so we'll see how my senses were at that point. But I thought it was a really particularly wonderful beer, and was cool to see
generally,
her working on
yeah,
stuff there.
generally salted beers are that's a theme for them,
Mhm.
because she says that when she was a child in Iran, that she would see the old men, they would actually literally put salt in their beers. So that's a big part of why she specializes in goza, since that's an element
Yep.
of that.
Yeah. But it was a really fun experience. And then we did swing by another brewery at the because it was the whole thing was in Industry City. We did cross the street and walked you
We did.
by the Big Alice Barrel Room and went upstairs to another brewery.
Right,
Right.
the Gun Hill Public House. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't, I have my memory is extremely hazy about that. We
Well,
recorded
Industry
something right
City is
before
a
we went in,
great
but
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember
Yes.
that you sent your Harlem beer home with me, Beer Wonder.
Oh
I went up
yes.
with 2 beers. Is one of these yours? And you said yes. I gave it to you to give to me later. Okay, thanks. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
I had to go somewhere afterwards, and so since you were going
right.
straight home, I just handed you my beers. Um,
Let me ask you
so
quick before you get to the Gun Hill. When you were at the festival, was there a closing time thing that went on where you had to get your last minute pours in, or were you guys were fairly satisfied with the
Yeah,
situation? You didn't pull
I
a
don't.
pale male move on that one.
What's the pale male move?
You
Get
gotta
out of here.
get our last pours.
Oh,
Get them in.
I think I made it longer this one than I have at a festival in a while. I would say
yes,
that like the last couple I've gone to, I've wound up like leaving an hour early. This one, I think we stuck it out to the end.
Well,
yeah,
Uh,
you had the B dubs to keep you afloat.
yeah,
yes, we did. We left about 15 minutes before the actual end of things. We had basically
yeah,
closed out Pastry Town. Let me rephrase that. Captain had closed out Pastry Town,
yeah.
and I had gotten what I wanted out of New York, the New York City crew, the New York crew, and so. But we really wanted to go check out the Gun Hill room that's across the way, and so, but because we knew that would get very crowded after everything was done, we bounced out about 15 minutes so that we were able to literally walk in, grab our beers, and sit down before the thing got packed. And it did get very packed, which was great to see. It was fun to see people continuing to like support local breweries and support the area. But we jumped out about 15 minutes before the event just to kind of be strategic, and it worked.
Yeah,
It definitely worked.
yeah.
Oh,
Because
perfect.
after we got into the to the public house, we saw a lot of people starting to pour in there immediately
Yep.
afterwards. But we
Yeah,
we had no trouble getting a seat.
very
And how's
much.
the
But
vibe there?
I'd say great. I'd say great.
Yeah,
It
me
was
too. I'm
chill.
looking forward to going
It,
back.
yeah. I mean, we'd had something to drink, so it'll be nice to go there and like take it in when you're like fresh at
Just
the
to start
beginning.
fresh. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But it was great to have some old favorite beers. And, Industry City is just such a cool place. You were saying, Huck, it's just such a nice spot to grab a drink
Yeah.
and grab some food and all that and like
And now
really
there's
chill
two
out.
brew houses there. That's nice.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff.
Two tap houses. That's great.
Yep. But speaking of pouring, I do think that Huck looks like it's time for another pour. Yes.
Now, when I went to the store today, I was looking for something Irish like you guys have, but I found this beer that last year was one of my favorites, which is from a brewery that I've already had twice on the show, but I love them so much we're bringing them on a third
Yeah.
time. This is Moonlight Brewing out of
Oh.
Santa Rosa, California. Right? We all
Oh,
love
look at
our
that.
Moonlight.
Yep. We do. It's such a
And
good
this
can too.
now, what's exciting about this is that it's called Dim Lights, and it's a gently smoked lager. So
Gently
I
smoked.
love my smoky beers.
Yes.
This one, let me see if I
Rauschbier.
can I'm getting smoke. It says gently smoked, but it's got a nice smokiness. I had it last year. I don't know if they put it
Mhm.
out twice a year or once a year, but this is fresh, and it just came out. I think it's a February date on there. So let's take a look at this. Ooh,
Oh wow.
a light color, obviously, right away.
One would
But
hope.
it's got a unlike those Hauk beers we had in
Yes.
Bamberg, which were very dark. This has got
Mhm.
that much lighter lager vibe to it. It's also it's not a slouch. I think it's 6.5%
Okay.
for a smoky lager. Let's give it a smell first, of course.
The old sniff test. It's a beautiful looking beer.
It is.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I've had it before, but I love it. Also, my Crow and Wolf glass, which is kind of a cool glass,
It's,
out of right here in Clovis, California. Crow and Wolf. But this, yeah, I mean, I'm speechless. I love this beer.
Excellent.
Go
Well,
on, open your second beer, Captain.
I do. I've got one, and this might segue nice into our next section.
Okay.
I don't think we do this quite often, but my second beer is also a
Sponsored pour.
that's right. It's a sponsored pour from our friends at Grimm. This is an oatmeal porter conditioned on vanilla beans. Its love is everywhere.
snap.
Oh,
Yeah,
romantic.
it's like there's like a lovely little like drawing that
Did you
like
say
reminds me of
Baltic?
like what's that? No, it's not a Baltic porter. It's an oatmeal porter.
Oatmeal, excuse me.
Yeah, no, and the drawing is like sort of like things you see, not explicitly so, but like kind of like the artwork you see on the Kama Sutra, that sort of thing. It's nice.
Woo.
I said it wasn't as explicit.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
just
know.
that style of line drawing that I'm filmed with there. So, and I'm doing something. I'm out of character a little bit. I'm pouring into the same glass, so it might have a little of
What?
that oatmeal cookie from the other one in there. Their genre is similar enough.
Oatmeal.
I get.
It's a
Yes,
legal move.
exactly. And here it goes.
Oh wow.
Like I said, a 6.5% here. Yeah, in
Real
fact,
pretty.
Pretty looking
yeah.
cocoa head there. Grim.
Wow.
You know I love
Look at-
myself some Grim.
Well, I know what you're
Probably my
segueing
favorite New
into.
York brewery.
Yes.
I want you to tell us about your beers first, but we did have a very unique Grim experience that we did promise the Beer Avengers at home about.
And so,
So,
we live up to
yeah.
our promises.
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to re-listen to the show to remember what promises we made. But fortunately,
true.
since I edit the show, I was able to do that, and I realized, oh yeah, we still need to do that, and we did. But let me have.
Oh, did we ever? Yes, you should ensure the quality, of course.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is
nice.
it's I will often go for a higher ABV, but this one is just like it's just a nice full-bodied good oatmeal porter. That vanilla I have the hint of vanilla, but it doesn't like tilt it too much into overly sweet. It's really good.
Oh, fantastic. I do love me some Grim. I miss Grim. There's a place here in Fresno that I might be able to get some Grim. It's actually called the Shell Station.
Oh
yeah,
really?
The Maroa Shell. It's like a Shell station, but it's a craft beer place where they get beer from out of town. So they have I've seen other half there. I don't go there a lot because I like to go for local stuff, but I should go back there and see if I can find some Grim. I haven't had a good Grim in a while. I'm looking at their Insta now. I don't see this one.
Yeah, this is it's they had it on tap when we were at the room yesterday. Like Grim, as is often the case, has so many great things on tap.
Oh my gosh.
Hard to really pick. They had a few like can and bottle pours that I almost did, but I have this weird thing with me where I like it. If there's enough good drafts, I will not get a can or a bottle pour because I figure I can do that at home.
Of course.
Yep.
So,
but speaking
tell
of,
us about your trip there,
yeah. So we do need to cover like the beer elephant in the room, which is that on the last beer cast we did talk about this concept of brulee beer, and
yes.
Let's remind the folks at home what a brulee, what exactly this entails.
Well, brulee beer is where you pour the beer, and I guess it's specifically the reason it's called brulee. It's very similar to when you see creme brulee, because with creme brulee, they sort of they put the little fire on the top, so they have that crust of like the caramelized sugars. Well, this takes a similar technique, except they have this sort of hot poker that is called a Bierstallen. It doesn't look like it from the spelling, but we were assured by our friendly beer tender yesterday that's what it's called, a Bierstallen. And so they take it and they just sort of plunge it into the beer, and the foam goes way up, and so it has just like this big like head that's that has a bit of warmth to it, and the beer itself is not. I mean, it's a little warmer than your average beer, but it's not hot. It's kind of like the temperature of a cask ale. And if you want to like see some of the process, we did film the guy doing the whole thing yesterday, as well as what the final product looks, and that's on our Instagram. And check that out because it was a really unique experience. And I wound up doing it with the Grim Double Negative, which is a personal favorite for me of their Imperial Stouts.
Yeah, I was so impressed that it was like that the beer stayed cold, but the head, first off, it created this insane head on the beer, like 3 inches, 3 fingers worth of head. It was wild. And the beer stayed cold while the head was sort of like a little bit warm. So it was this weird thing. And it really did taste like kind of marshmallowy, kind of like that, like creme brulee top to it. And they were recommending, I think our beer tender did recommend, say there were a bunch of beers that they had listed that this was good with, but one that he was pushing was that barley wine, which we did choose not to go with. But I thought it was a pretty
it was double negative.
Double negative, yeah. They also have a single.
Yeah.
I had a regular pour of the single negative, but that the double negative is the one that I chose to use for the brulee. Basically, they have asterisks on the menu for all the ones that are eligible for it, and they're all 8-ounce pours. And the brulee treatment has a $3 surcharge on it.
Okay,
yes,
so pretty reasonable.
I mean, what they go through, it's like a red hot poker, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got like 3 of them set up behind the bar. Like if you order it, you have to wait for a minute for them to warm up the poker.
Yep.
And then
okay, so they're not pre-warmed. They have to warm it up.
No, they turn a little propane thing on.
They're warming, yeah.
Yeah.
What an insane thing to have behind the bar.
Yeah.
I guess if somebody comes in to rob you, you're like, oh, okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
Warm up the poker. Can I get you a beer first? Hang on. So what is the result? I mean, what you like did it change the flavor, or you still got that double negative? Because you've had double negative before.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously the flavor of the head was a little bit different because it brought out more of the sweetness and it was a little warmer. But drinking the beer, it was fairly similar. Like I said, it wasn't quite as warm as a cask ale, but not as cold as straight out of the tap.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's got a red hot poker shoved into it.
Yeah.
I just like saying that.
Yes.
Well, that's precisely what happened.
That is what it was.
If I may read the description of your beer, Captain.
The oatmeal one, the one now. Love is everywhere.
Brewed in homage to Pharaoh Sanders, the giant of spiritual jazz who left the material plane this fall. Are you getting a spiritual jazz from this flavor?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not like the freeform jazz that I get from that Schwartz beer from Single Cut.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Well, that's what you immediately made me think of. They have their freeform jazz Odyssey. They're who knows? Maybe that's when we have the Single Cut guy and he'll give us one of those.
I mean, freeform and spiritual, they're on the same plane, I think.
I think so.
Love is Everywhere is a rich oatmeal porter infused with Madagascar vanilla beans.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We used oats 3 ways: malted oats, flaked oats, and golden naked oats to lend a silky mouthfeel. The vanilla is notable, and yet this porter is eminently drinkable, rich and soft, without tipping over into being too sweet. 6.5%. Wow. I'm like jealous. I want that.
It's really good.
I'm not a big vanilla guy, but he says his vanilla is subtle. Are you getting vanilla?
I definitely getting the vanilla. Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
It is subtle, but it's infused with it.
Oh, lovely.
And
lovely.
After the last episode, I'm never again going to say that they're sold out of something. As far as I know, you can still get this stuff there. Sometimes they got a special when they've got a tasting for something. They got a special place for that as a featured beer. The Lockgill is in the international section. Unfortunately, they do not have a specific Irish section in there. So, the indignity, the beer from the Republic of Ireland has to sit in the UK section where it doesn't belong.
That is it. Yeah.
Rude. Rude.
Those beers are steaming in the can.
But they have a limited space there, so don't give them a hard time if you see that there.
This Grim was also a sponsor port, so that's great.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really nice. They're treating you well over there at the.
You bet.
At the Beer and Cheese Collective.
Well, I mean, that's a great thing about the provider is that she knows what Beer Wonder and I like, And if she
Mhm.
gives us something that she thinks it might be outside the range, is like, do they like this one? Like, yeah, probably not. Don't give beer wonder a sour unless you really think he needs to
Nope.
have it.
Yep.
They're
That's
they're
accurate.
hard
When
and
is she going to
yeah.
send something to the Pale Mail?
I don't, you'll just have to come
Well,
visit.
yeah.
I'm actually, there's a thing called, I just saw this the other day where you go and you house sit for somebody, or you take care of someone's
Oh,
dog for a week,
okay.
and you just can stay in their house for a week.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
like this just like mutual thing where you go and live in their house, but you got to take care of their animal or what have you. And you do it for free because you're going to be in their place for free. And it's like, you can go internationally and this kind of thing. So I'm
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
But out here in the Frez,
Mhm.
if we're ready for the next thing,
Yeah.
no segue. Sorry.
Just jump right in.
Cider Girl and I have started a new band, the Mickey Bricky Band.
I was going to ask about
And
that. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah,
and
you've changed the name since the last time we were here. So it was going to be the Mike
yeah,
Birch Band. Now it's
currently
the
we're
Mickey
calling
Bricky
it
Band.
the Mickey Bricky Band. It's not my
Okay.
favorite name, but it's sort of sticking.
What about the
And
Birchichinos?
The Birchichinos.
Oh my
Not
God.
bad. Not bad. Have to work on that. So anyway, the funny thing is that the music in Fresno and breweries in Fresno are like interlocked. Like that's where all the
Oh,
live music is happening, is at the
cool.
breweries. So recently we went to Summer Fox, which is a brewery out here. I still haven't had a beer from them because they don't can. So I need to get a crowler or a growler from them.
Yeah.
I'll have to put that on my list of things to do. They have a wonderful black lager Schwartz beer that's called something Night with a K. Night.
Okay.
Excellent black lager. Really good. They're a very good brewery. But my friend Jason, if I mentioned him here, is a brewer from Grayview Brewing, which is also a Fresno brewery. But they're actually brewing out of the Summer Fox Clovis
Oh, wow.
space, because Summer Fox is in Fresno, but they have a space in Clovis where they had all these fermenters and bright tanks and mash tuns, but they weren't using them. They had them set up.
Mhm.
And so Grayview went in and said, can we, and it's now the home of Grayview Brewing. So we went in to do the open mic there, Cider Girl and I. And as soon as we walked in, I saw Jason, and I'm like pointing. He's like going like this, like, you want a beer? So he poured me a beer out of the bright tank.
Oh,
Like, as soon as I
wow.
walked in, I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, it was a nice hazy IPA. And that was just so cool. So we got to have and his partner is also named Jason. So they're the Jasons. I don't know why didn't they call it that? But Grayview Brewing, they don't have a tap room, but they're here in Fresno, and they're making really nice beer. So, they told us about an apple beer they're making,
Ooh.
which is technically a beer because they're using like some grain and some hops, but it's really apple forward, and they're going to bottle it. So hopefully when that one comes out, we put that have that on the podcast. That would be good. But it was just a fun night of just knowing that we knew people in beer, we knew people in music. It was just a perfect night, and the audience like really reacted to us playing, and it was just a cool time over at the Summer Fox Brewing. So we're fitting in pretty well over here in the old Fresalicious, if you will.
Excellent. Yeah, I was
Even
starting
though
to worry
Clovis is a different town, but
I was starting to worry that that the reason you didn't like Banshees of Inisherin was that it was too close to home, because to me, one thing that they did really well was talking about the loneliness of living in a small town. And like I thought it's people like to glorify the whole small town, but I think that movie talked a lot about how you know how it's hard to find a friend in a small town, and if you do, where do you find another one? And everyone knows it. Yeah.
Because it is a beautifully filmed, excellent acting, and the script is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But the story itself is a heightened, or it's a heightened reality, right? Because
Sure,
it's
that's
not.
true.
It's done as realism, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to swallow the things that happen as realistic.
Yeah.
And that's the point. in a lot
Yes.
of ways
Yes.
because I don't want to give it away for our audience, but there's certain things that happen in the film that are like, what did he just do? So it's like, you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
it's a metaphor for the Irish Civil War,
Right.
or war in general. Like, why do these civil wars happen where we should all just get along, but we don't? And so I get that, but maybe
Yeah,
I'll watch it again because there is a certain. It does stick with me. I do think about it, and I do.
I think the
I
grounded.
loved.
Yeah.
I loved the actor who played the main character.
Colin.
Very famous guy, Colin
Farrell. Yeah.
He was
That guy.
absolutely wonderful because he's such a star.
Yeah.
He's a would you call him a what do they used to call it, sex symbol?
Sure.
Like, he's a
Yeah.
good-looking guy, and he just
He's in a lot of
plays
action movies, but yeah, but he was
he
so
just
great in it.
plays this very simple man, like
Yeah.
purely like simple guy, not simple in the way that he's stupid, but just like the Leonard Skinner song, "Simple Man."
Yeah.
And I'm making all kinds of references today. So it was just the whole thing with the thing that happens is like,
Yeah, I guess for me, because Brendan Gleeson had such a grounded performance, that made the absurdity seem all that much more absurd because he seemed to be a sane person who made sense, but he was doing all these crazy things.
yes.
And it would have been easy for an actor to lean into lots of like actual craziness. And when he's talking, everything he says seems to make sense, even though he's certainly a person who has mental problems.
Sure, he'd have to.
Um,
Have you seen the movie Beer Wonder?
Why are you
All right.
even asking this, Huck?
So I'm going to move beyond this and say
Well, look,
that
you're in showbiz.
I was
We
in
should do a
showbiz. That's right.
We need to do a whole episode about Beer Wonder and
Beer One,
my lack of film
pop
knowledge.
culture escapism.
I've been
Escape
necessarily
from
from it
pop
all.
culture.
I did mention you guys, I've been really impressed lately with going to various movie theaters, and
Mhm.
indie movie theaters are really stepping up as far as having a great beer selection. Some of them I think have been doing this for a while, but now there have been a couple of laws that I still don't quite have my head wrapped around. And I think a friend of mine is a bartender at the Quad Theater, and I may have him on the
Right.
show to explain those laws
Oh,
again.
Quad, yeah.
Yeah, because apparently when the Nighthawk Cinema first opened up, the first Nighthawk, now there's two of them. When the first one opened up in like 2011, they managed to get some laws passed that help them do what they do, which is probably also probably part of why Alamo Drafthouse finally decided to open in New York City.
Right.
But that had mostly to do with being able to serve beer to your seats. The new thing that started up a couple of years ago that Beer Wonder you mentioned on when it first happened, I think was more about them being able to sell it at concession stands.
Yes. Yes.
And that's as far as I'm going to say because we're already over an hour into this, and I do want to talk about give people the best advice as far as what if you're trying to mix your beer and your cinematic experience. I think we can always do that well on our couch, but if you're going out to the movie theaters, there are certain places that will do that really well for you. And so unless anyone out there has a better name for that segment, we're going to start calling that Picks and Pints. I told Huck he could write a song about it if he wanted to.
Picks and Pints. But
funny thing is, I did a Google search for it. No one else is using it. There are a few places who did it about going to a bar and taking pictures of your pints, but no one has done it with regard to cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a better thing. Yeah.
Now, the Quad Theater, people don't, if you don't know, if you're not in New York, I went to the Quad for the first time in 1990.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So the Quad goes way back. I mean, that goes back before then.
I think I saw Boys Don't Cry there with you and Cider Girl, and we had to sit in the front row.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I think we had dinner at the Old Town Tavern, and then we got there kind of late, and it was like a Friday night, and it was a really popular movie, and the only place we could get seats was like way up front where we had
right in the front.
Like this.
Oh, I'm sorry I don't retain that memory, but I remember the movie.
Yeah.
And seeing it in the theater. I'm sorry I don't remember that we went to the Quad. But the Quad, because I saw the movie Henry V, because we were at the Shakespeare Conservatory, and Henry V was the first Kenneth Branagh movie. and set his career on the track it's on. But yeah, that's goes way back. We were going to Shakespeare school at the time, so it was super important
Yeah.
movie for us to see. Tennis balls, I don't know. That one sticks with me.
No, I remember that. I think I was in Tennessee when that came out, and I saw it. No beer involved, but yeah, I just remember thinking, "This is it. This is what everyone's so excited about."
Don't get us on a Tennessee jag. The show's over now, so
Oh yeah, no, I mean, well,
we'll have to pick that up on the next episode.
but no, honestly, there was 89, 90, and the theater I was working for there did the Rocky Horror Show, which I guess is
okay.
illegal to do in Tennessee now. So,
Wow.
like, literally,
wow. Yeah,
Tennessee
that's
is
true.
Tennessee is now less progressive than when I was there 35 years ago.
There you go. That
Congratulations,
is for sure.
Tennessee.
I mean, it's absurd, but also very unconstitutional, everything they're putting forward. So it shan't stick in the long run, but in the short run could hurt a lot of people. That's about all we should say about that.
I know
you
said it shan't stick. For a moment, it sounded like it chants dick. Like that would be like, oh, you chant dick. But that's not a real thing, but it could be. Anyway, you were saying.
Well, I did want to just mention that I believe there are some mild hookups that need to be addressed in order for us to keep ourselves honest.
Let's get to them.
Yes. Yeah. Right. A few days before we recorded this,
hookups.
We were Belgian Babe just got around to listening to the last couple of episodes last week and mentioned that there was one point where we were trying to figure out how to tell Nutpool, the various rumors and what we're going to do about the rumors. Yes. And I was trying to come up with a word, and the word I was trying to come up with was dispel. And Huck came up with a pun on that, and he said dispool. But I was so happy he was thinking the same word I was thinking, I didn't even hear that he said dispool. So if you heard, we want to acknowledge that Huck did something very funny that none of us noticed while we were doing it.
Thank you.
So.
I don't recall it myself. So
yeah. Well, she insists that's what you heard. I can go back to the masters, but I probably won't do that. The other thing was there was one point where we were all very impressed with Nutpool's description of a beer. And he was saying, is that saffron or is it something else? Mm-hmm. I don't know what the two things. Well, Belgian Babe realized that Nutpool was actually quoting a lyric from a Sweeney Todd song.
Wow.
And none of us knew it. So for if anyone other than Belgian Babe heard that and you wondered why we didn't acknowledge the references, because our thick heads weren't attuned to that musical theater.
We're not big Josh Groban fans, apparently.
No, I'm a fan of Sweeney Todd, but I'm not a fan of Josh Groban.
That's a reference to he's on.
No, he is. You're right. He's in the new one. I've seen it a couple of times. He seems like a very nice person. That's all I can.
I saw the version with Patti LuPone and
me too.
Oh, you saw? We might have seen it together.
Yeah. I also saw the one that
just
was
like Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah.
Well, I also saw it at a theater right around the corner from The Blind Tiger to loop it in what we're talking about. The Barrow Street, not Barrow. Is the Barrow Street Playhouse?
Isn't it the Barrow Street? Yeah, which is inside that Greenwich.
Barrow Street.
Greenwich House.
I may have the wrong name for it.
So like a little, almost like an alley corner theater.
Yeah, what they basically turn the whole thing into a pie shop. So it's very like,
oh, that's great.
I mean,
and it came with snacks.
There was a part that was generally a stage that they were in general, but also part of the ticket. Not only included snacks. You signed up. You could actually sign up for the non-dinner version, but if you got there, if you paid a certain amount, you could you could have a meat pie before the show. And I believe I had a beef Wellington.
Yeah, as you should.
And now, of course, both Nutpool and Belgian Babe are going to be disappointed. We couldn't remember the actual lyric from the song or what song it's from.
I know,
but that thing, saffron and something, was. I think someone was making a wig. I don't remember for sure.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, because Sweeney was a barber, and so I guess there were wigs and dye jobs and that sort of thing. But beyond that, I do not recall.
Mhm.
Another thing I've noticed at a lot of bars lately is
Yes.
that a lot of them they're doing Boilermaker specials.
Hmm.
It was strange to me because I saw this at like 3 different places over like 3 days. And Boilermaker, for those of you in the audience who do not know what that is, I looked it up because there are different versions of it, but it's a beer and a shot, and it's usually a lager,
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
and it is usually whiskey. And there are several different ways that a Boilermaker traditionally can be done. For some, a Boilermaker is you just take a shot and then you sip the beer. Some where you actually put the Boilermaker, the shot inside the beer, and that's its
Right.
own thing. But one thing apparently that is not acceptable to be a Boilermaker if you just sip your beer and sip the whiskey. So the whiskey is supposed to be done shot wise. But anyway, I was at a place in Astoria. When I was at the Nighthawk in Prospect Park, I saw they had a Boilermaker special. When I was at the Double Windsor, after I saw the movie there, they had a Boilermaker
Yep.
special. 2 days later, I'm at KCBC. They've got some kind of beer and a shot thing. And I read that back again to the place that we went to after the big tasting, the Industry City, the Public House. They're having a special Boilermaker event on April Fool's Day. I assume it's
Oh,
still real
hello.
and it's not all an April Fool's joke, but that's something. That's something I think we may in the future just have to have a Boilermaker episode. I'm
I
sure it'll
like
be.
that everybody gets there and they're like, "No, we don't have a whiskey license.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys knew this."
But it might be right up there, depending on what we choose. It might be right up there with our barley wine episode. That maybe we should all do a Boilermaker episode together.
Oh God.
hell.
Oh,
Is that for you,
I
Beer
believe
Wonder?
in. I believe in us. I do believe in us. I really do.
All right. Well, you've enjoyed whiskey on occasion, haven't you? It's not your
I have
go-to,
enjoyed
but-
whiskey.
all right.
No, and at the big go away party, I had my first. What is it called?
Irish
Where
car
you
bomb.
drop the Bailey? Yes, that's the one.
Yes, let's bring it full circle with the Irish theme today. Yes, you had an Irish car bomb. Yeah.
That was I did not like that. No, but you know what? Here's the thing. I am an adventurous drinker. I am the beer wonder after all. We do have to represent for all styles of beverage. So, bring it on, gentlemen.
All right.
Gooey.
Quick kick to everyone out there. If you do decide you want to, oh, you don't like
Beer. We're here for beer.
you don't want to do you don't want to do a Boilermaker episode.
Well,
Huck?
last time I did a shot we were all together. Actually, we were at 18th Ward Brewing. Do you
Yeah.
remember that night?
Oh yeah.
And we had tequila shots there, I think.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't do that, and the bartender was like, "You're gonna." And she looked me in the eye like, "You're doing it."
I remember that.
I was like, "All right, I guess I'll do it."
Yeah. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bartender pressure.
No, I think I think that could be a fun episode. Anyway, that's another thing. I see we're getting a bit to the end. We've got a lot of fun stuff, upcoming episodes. We teased a little of that, and so I'm not going to say it again. So you have to go back and rewind if you don't remember what I said, because that's what I'm going to do when I edit the show.
Good. And we hope to have the Grayview Brewing guys on as well with an upcoming episode, at least Jason. So we got
that'll be great.
Grayview Brewing coming up. We've got people from Single Cup Brewing coming up. So we got a lot of nice, fun episodes in the future.
And to make sure you don't miss anything, if you don't to make sure you don't miss anything, where should people go look for us?
Well, basically, just the @ symbol and the Beer Vengers should get you just about anywhere. I mean, you'll find their way to our Facebook, to our Instagram, to our Twitter. I even think our TikTok is there on that. We put a couple of things on TikTok.
I noticed we've got a second TikTok video.
Well, you know, since you got 800 views from that first one, I figured like, well, I guess I should put another one on here. Yeah, I don't think it has 800 yet.
Of course, TikTok could be banned at any moment. I actually don't think it's going to be banned, but
we'll see.
That's another thing to get it. Geez, we could just do it. We should have a political podcast.
Yes. Oh God.
Well, like we said at the beginning, we are not a political podcast, but we are not an apolitical podcast.
What
so
could we do? Like a beer? Like we have. What was it called? Picks and pints.
Picks and pints.
What
Picks and pints and polls. Pints and politics.
Pints and politics.
Rage drinking. Wait, we'll get there.
We'll get
anyway. I think Huck seems seems to be clutching that uke really hard. So I feel like we need to let him out of his misery.
I'm holding this D minor like there's no reason to hold this.
Thanks for listening,
Why am
everyone.
I making my fingers work so hard? Take it easy. Just relax until it's time.
Follow us on all the socials we just mentioned, or if you want to email us, you can send us that thebeervengers@gmail.com. Thanks, Huck. Thanks, Beer Wonder. Huck, play us out, if you would.
Always a pleasure. Look forward to the next one, guys. Oh, with a beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers, with a beer Avengers, with a beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers, with a beer Avengers.
Oh, fuck yeah, man, dude.